So our next question is kind of like a hot topic. Everyone's feeling it. Whenever we go to the gas pump, we are feeling it now. But what is inflation doing to my retirement, and how does it affect my chances?
Yeah, surviving inflation, just like it says. That's what's been a hot subject. Again, we bring this up from the client, strategy sessions that we have. It's coming up a lot for obvious reasons. People are seeing, the gas and the food and, just about everything costing more than it used to. And there's a lot of different ways of surviving inflation and fighting inflation and dealing with inflation. We could do a 5-hour show just on this part. I'm going to focus on one piece that I think is really interesting, and that is somebody who is quite conservative with their investing because they're afraid of the stock market dropping, right? And how they're now being infected by inflation and then what they might need to do, in that regard. So, I'll give you an example here. We'll give a view here. So here's a current allocation for a hypothetical client, 30% stock, right? So my conservative clients are 30, 20, 10% stock, right? That they're kind of in that category. And their biggest concern is just losing to a big stock market crash, right? The problem is there is another risk, and that is losing to inflation. They haven't had to face that risk forever. It's been a really long time. We've had very, very low inflation, and now all of a sudden we have very high inflation, and they're having to face that risk. And so, yes, you might be avoiding the stock market downturn, but then losing out basically day after day to inflation. So, and I'll show you how this works and give you an idea. We'll go through a financial plan with this person. So first of all, we would take a look at this particular person with this portfolio, and we look at their basic Monte Carlo simulation. And so this is a huge part of our retirement planning toolkit, so to speak. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to push this button, and it's going to allow the computer to randomly select amongst all the variables. And what's the inflation rate, what's the stock market doing, the bond market doing, all the different variables that fit into this. Inside the plan, we already have this person's assets, how much they're spending, how much they have coming in from outside assets like Social Security and pensions and such. And we want to see, does it work? We're going to run it 1,000 times and see if it works. So I'm going to push the button here, and we're going to see, this Monte Carlo simulation come up. There it goes. And so we get this green spaghetti. And this is a good one. Yeah, 99% probability of success. That's as good as you can get using Monte Carlo simulation. And it basically says that, under this base case scenario, really good chance of making things work as far as that goes. But we can stress test this. And so one of the stress tests is a higher inflationary environment, a persistently higher inflationary environment. So let's just go here. So here we have higher inflation with that current 30% portfolio. We are already at 99%, but what happens if we increase the base inflation rate here from 3.25 to 5? So it's going to do that. And we're going to see what happens with the Monte Carlo simulation. So right now you can see it's calculating, it's running through 1,000 times.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be retiring on 66%. That'd be really rough.
Yeah, that would scare me, honestly. And so here's the irony. This is a client who's scared of losing money in the market, who in a higher inflationary environment would actually have a pretty good decrease in standard of living in order to make it through. So one of the options, and there's lots of options, right, on how to fight this, and I'm just presenting one simple piece here, is the possibility of increasing the stock component. I was just meeting with a client the other day, and we kind of broke down, the returns for the last 3 years from the stock market, returns from the last 3 years of the bond market, and the stock market was significantly higher on average rate of return. And, maybe that doesn't happen in the next 3 years. It's hard to say. But long-term, stocks have done a really good job of keeping up with inflation. And so that's why we have them. And so if we go now to another scenario here where we just increase their allocation to 60%. Now, that's hard to do. When somebody's at 30, go to 60. And so maybe you work up to it slowly but surely. And this is one part of the plan on trying to fight inflation. So let's see what happens now when we go to 5% inflation. We're going to slide this over. And there we go. And it's going to calculate another 1,000 times and see what happens. Okay, we just moved up to 81%, right? So we're in the green zone. Not perfect, not at 99, but not bad. I'd feel much more comfortable there as far as that goes. And so anyway, that's one of the strategies for dealing with inflation, especially if you have a low exposure to the stock market, is to consider some increase in that exposure just in case we do continue to have these things happening.
Yeah, the one thing is, we want you to be able to sleep at night. A good advisor gets you into a spot where I'm not worried about my finances. I have a good plan in action. I know where I'm going to be. And so we don't want to bump your stock allocation up too much that it's too volatile and it's keeping you up at night. But we also don't want you to have inflation eating away at your plan, so you're also not sleeping at night. So there has to be a healthy middle ground there.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. It's a matter of balancing risks. It always is, right? And understanding, right? The more you understand, the more you have a. I mean, I just gave Positive Friday, for my summary this week, and so the more you understand the positives and the negatives of the market, because I think a lot of times when I'm talking to somebody who's very nervous about the market, they just have too many of the negative pieces in their mind and not enough of the positive pieces in their mind. And so, it drives them down and down and down in terms of their stock market exposure. And again, it's higher exposure isn't for everybody, but it's a challenging situation with inflation for people that have low exposure. So anyway, that's what's going on there.